Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot. I am the founder and creator of the Ohio Patriot Education Network. For today's episode, this is going to be a message to the members of the Ohio General Assembly when it comes to House Bill 454. You guys had it right the first time around, man. The way that this bill currently stands, without any substitutes in it, dude, is absolutely how it should go into law. There is zero reason to substitute any of this. The only thing, and I've called some of your offices today about this, as I've said in the messages I left y'all, the only thing I would add to this is address forever chemicals. Address estrogen in the water supply, address soy in our food supply, address anything that messes with kids' DNA, because when you look at a lot of this stuff at a root cause level, that's what's causing so much of this transgender issues right now, dude. That's what's causing so much of the feminization of young men in our country right now. It's what's causing so many of the young females in our country to hit puberty before the age of 10 right now. And when you address these root causes, when you address the water supply in these major cities that are filled with estrogen because of women on birth control, that it does not get filtered out in these, different treatment plants and stuff like that, dude, it's going to go right back into the water supply, and these kids are going to drink that stuff. And then you wonder why these children are so messed up. And it's not just that either. It's all kinds of psych drugs and stuff like that too in our water supply needs to be addressed as well, man. And it's like you wonder why people seem to be so much more insane in these major cities, and that's exactly what it is. It's because they're drinking friggin' psychiatric drugs and estrogen every day they turn the tap on and get a glass of water. Not to mention, and this is why I'm going to call out you specifically, Gary Click, because you're the one that's talking about possibly substituting this stuff. No child should ever be on puberty blockers, sir. I believe it's called Lupron. I'm not sure exactly the name. I think that's what it is, though. I would suggest to every lawmaker out there that's listening to this right now, look up Blair White and look up the video they did with Buck Angel where they were talking about this issue. Those specific puberty blocking drugs are the exact same drug combination that is given to child molesters in prison, dude. There is no reason to sterilize an entire generation of kids, because that's what this does. These puberty blocking drugs, they sterilize these kids. There is no coming back from this. You are talking about sterilizing an entire generation of children if you allow any of these kids to be on this shit. And I am sick of it, man. I am sick of it. I am sick of all of it. There is zero reason for any child in this country at all to be on any kind of puberty blocking drugs, unless you want that kid to be permanently sterilized for the rest of their life and never be able to have children of their own at some point in the future. Because that's all this does. It sterilizes these kids. It makes them super suicidal. And you wonder why, when you look at the statistics across the board, when people want to talk about these trans kids, which aren't even a thing, by the way, it's literally gender confused children is what it is. Usually by females, usually by mothers in a lot of cases, that have Munchausen syndrome by proxy, another thing that should be actually addressed at this point. Not to mention addressing the various people that were at the hearing yesterday that were testifying against HB454, like Shannon Miller, the woman who claimed to be a child psychiatrist. Why does she still have a medical license in the state, dude? The same thing with Patricia Getz, for that matter, dude. The one that was running against Christine Rogner in our general election here a couple weeks ago. Why does Patricia Getz still have the ability in this state to have a medical license to talk to kids about actual psychiatric therapy and stuff like that, dude? Both of these women are psychotic. Both Shannon Miller, who claims to have a transgender child, by the way, and Patricia Getz, who is clearly an anti-gun nut job. Neither one of these women should have any medical licenses in the state ever again, or this country for that matter. And this is the entire problem right now, dude. when you have these people going on these going out there and taking our country and making it so much worse. Enough is enough of this stuff, dude. 454 is how it should be. It is a great piece of legislation because it is finally addressing what has been needed to be addressed for the past 10 years in this state, dude, and in this country for that matter. Which is you have a bunch of mentally ill adults who should be in institutions across this country, and mental institutions, now running the asylum in many state houses across this country. And I think we can all attest that almost every single Democrat in our state house right now is fucking insane. Not to mention our corrupt as shit, specifically Allison Russo, who, if you all investigated, actually did your jobs in the state house right now and investigated her in the next 6 months, would find that she took many brash mom's main action at this point, dude. The entire point is, anyone who is testifying against a piece of legislation like this seriously has mental issues. Not to mention Amy Schrader, who doesn't even have any ties to Ohio anymore, who lives in another state in California. Why should that motherfucker's opinion even matter, dude? They don't even live in the state anymore. They don't even have voting rights in the state anymore. And if they do, and they also have them in California, maybe that should be looked into, honestly. Possible voter fraud there. The entire point is, you have a bunch of insane people running amok. You have a bunch of insane people who know that they are going to be the last members of their family because they have destroyed their ability to ever have children, and they are simply trying to create another generation after them. That's all this stuff is. It's them quite literally trying to commit atrocities, a bunch of child abuse against kids to create another generation of mental illness after theirs. It's time to bring back sanity. It is time for all of us to come together and say enough is enough. Pass HB454 as it stands. Do not substitute anything. The only things that should be changed to this is add amendments. Address estrogen in the water and food supplies. Address forever chemicals. Address the hormone blocking drugs that sterilize these kids permanently. And make that the top of the frickin' ticket at this point. Because nobody wants to really talk about that. I will. I will talk about that because I'm sick and tired of it, dude. I'm sick and tired of watching kids my niece's age, 8, 9 years old, having this bullshit pushed upon them. Having a bunch of sick fucks in our school systems push this upon them. There is no need for it. There is no need for critical race theory in our school systems. There is no need for any kind of sexual stuff towards any children in our school system at this point, dude. Unless you're talking about an actual sex ed class, and even then, that should be 5th, 6th grade at the earliest. There is zero reason for any adult in a school system to be pushing any agendas at kids, whether they be sexual, whether they be racial, or anything else for that matter. Unless that person is part of a fucking cult. And that's what it is, dude. When you look at some of these leftist people, dude, that's exactly what they are. They're a cult. It's a cult of personality. It's a bunch of insane people who have long ago left God, left the ability for faith, and are now in the arms of Satan. And I mean that seriously. I don't mince words, man. I believe truthfully at this point in history, we are in a battle of good and evil. Be on the side of good. Be on the side of God. Bring our country and our state back to sanity. It starts with passing HB454 as it was originally written. And it also starts by passing everything else right now that addresses everything I've talked about in this episode. When it comes to the critical race theory stuff, when it comes to all that stuff, pass that legislation too. Deal with that crap finally, once and for all, dude. Zero reason for that to be in our school system. Zero reason for 1619 laws to be in our school systems, any of it, dude. Deal with the root causes. Stop dealing with the after effects. And one of the many root causes is the estrogen issue. It's the forever chemicals in our water supply and in our food supply. And the mimickers for that matter too. Stuff like soy. Men eat soy. They are more likely to get cancer. That is a guaranteed fact. You can ask any doctor in this country who is not a big pharma shill, and they will tell you that for real. Not to mention it feminizes men. Quite a bit, actually. And you wonder why you got these kids that'll sit there and drink soy milk, young boys, and all of a sudden they, develop tits. They grow breasts. Not that hard to figure out, man. Very easy correlation there. Same thing with them drinking water in major cities. Full of estrogen. And then you wonder why there's stunted growth. You wonder why they're more feminized children now. It's not that hard to figure out. Address the root causes, deal with the root causes, and deal with the after effects. Root cause, estrogen in the water and food supply. After effects, the kids having this stuff pushed against them in schools and by mentally ill parents. Treat it as the child abuse that it actually is and deal with it accordingly. That's all I'm going to say about it at the end of the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, hopefully y'all will do your jobs and do what needs to be done to pass 454 before the end of the year. Thank you for your time.